So before we get started, I just want to ask three things of the team. First off, if you haven't done so already, please mute your mic. When mics are on, we get a lot of feedback. There's a lot of echoing. This just decreases background noise and interference. Secondly, if you haven't done so, please turn off your camera. If everyone has their cameras on, what we've noticed in these team meetings, it tends to slow things down and freeze up screens. And then thirdly, if you haven't done so already, please turn on the chat to the right-hand side of your screen. One of the things that happened last week, people were generating questions as the meeting was taking place, and the administrative team took all those questions at the end of the meeting. We were able to develop answers and get those out to you in a timely manner, and that is our goal today. So again, don't hesitate to use the chat to jot down questions. Our goal is to make sure that everything is clear. For the time being, we're going to continue to use the same modes for communication throughout the week. So every Monday at this time, we will have a table talk. It's just a great way for us to check and connect. The Tuesday telegram will continue to go out. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, everyone on the administrative team is taking an opportunity to reach out to PLC leads, department leads, and of course, reach out to PLCs and departments as well. In addition, on Fridays, the fanzine will keep going out. If you have anything you'd like to submit for that, all ideas are appreciated. I want to thank you again for joining us today. And without any further ado, I'm going to have Jill Versteeg take us into the meeting.
Hi, happy Monday. I wish it were felt like a real Monday and that we were back at school. I mentioned to a couple of the ARCs that it would be like the highlight of my week to get to clear off the senior bench right now instead of telling my children to do your work. So it's just kind of funny the perspective that it takes now. I wanted to thank all of you that went into the email that I sent last week and joined the East High School staff teams. If you were, excuse me, unable to join it, just send me an email and I'll put you in there or give you the code to join. It's not hard. However, we did have an issue that the meetings channel might not work like we thought it was going to work. So we'll have to just upload the recordings of these to that channel, or excuse me, to that teams. The purpose of that team is so that any documents and things that we send out, we can put them right there. And we can put that information there, and this hopefully going to be kind of a one-stop shop for you. I'll see that there was a couple issues with people not being able to join, so I'm going to try to add a few people in while we're talking real quick. So if you're having trouble joining, let me see.
There are people in the other meeting, Jill.
Yeah, I'm going to work on trying to add them in real quick into this one. So how about Praveen, do you want to talk about access to the building real quick while I add some people in?
Yeah. Right now, as of right now, we just had a meeting with district leadership around students and staff having access to the building. And right now, there's going to be no access to the building for staff or students until we get more word from the districts. And the main reason is because we're just concerned about the peak of the spread of the virus, and we just want to keep the buildings as clear from contamination as possible, especially with students and staff who are high risk to infection. We just want to make sure that everyone is out of the building and is clear.
Okay. Thanks, Praveen. I think I got added in. Again, for questions, put it in the chat, and we'll, like last week, go ahead and answer those questions and get them back out to you, hopefully in a pretty timely manner. I think we were pretty quick last week, but we'll work on that too. We wanted to go through what the building professional learning would look like for this week. So I'm going to try to share my camera, and fingers crossed that this is going to work, or share my screen, I should say. And give me just a second. Okay. Can someone tell me that they can see that?
I can
Yes,
see it.
Yeah, you
we can see
it.
it.
Yay, it worked. Now I need to go back to it. So as you probably read in Dr. Ahart's email that was sent out, I believe, Saturday, and maybe made some assumptions, but we will for sure, as a Des Moines Collective DMPS schools, will not be going back to teaching in our buildings again for the remainder of this school year. The goal of the district is that by April 27th, we will be online in some capacity. What that some capacity means is we don't know. The admin team has a meeting tomorrow afternoon with the high school network to get a lot of answers, hopefully. And I know that may not be greatly comforting to you at this point. It's not real comforting for us to try to talk in these vague abstracts for you right now, but we're going to go with what we do know right now, which is that we won't be back in the building with our students this year. So we know we're going to be moving online in some capacity. So what our building directed time will look like this week, and it's on this document, is we're asking PLCs to engage in at least one meeting this week to start to talk about what potential essential learning could look like moving forward. We're waiting for a little bit of guidance on that, but start to think about how do you kind of pick up where you were and what does it need to look like, or what could it look like? We also want to just give you time to further explore Canvas and Teams, practicing with those, using those. Those are the two district supported platforms that we have to use. We can't use, or the district doesn't support using like Google Classroom or other platforms like that. So I think the majority of you are pretty versed in Canvas, so it shouldn't be a foreign item to you, just probably honing some skills. The only thing, there's two things that we're going to require this week. One is if you look at the fifth bullet down, it says email your students a link to the 9/11 survey that's going out regarding access to devices. We've already sent information to seniors out, and Anthony's going to talk about where we are in the process with our seniors here in a little bit. But that went out to seniors last week, and seniors will start to pick up devices next week, or excuse me, later this week. For 9th through 12th graders, they've just sent out a survey. We're going to ask that you try to help us out with sending that survey out this week, whether that's through emails that you already send to your students. If you have a decent Twitter following, if you wouldn't mind like retweeting the district's or the East High School page that has the link on it, or sending your own or posting your own tweet that has the link on it, that would be helpful. We're just going to ask that you help with communicating that. As we move through with the information or getting the information from 9th through 11th graders, we may be asked, or we will be asking for volunteers to help us with making those follow-up phone calls. When we went through this with the seniors, I don't remember what our percentage was, but it wasn't wonderful the first time through. So we spent some time last week making phone calls, the admin, ARCs, and counselors. So if you are interested in helping with that, not right now, Joe. If you're interested in helping with making those phone calls, please let Anthony know. The rest of these resources here, there's just articles about online learning and what that could look like. So there's just some things to look at. There's resources to help us move to Canvas and Microsoft Teams. Again, we're going to get more information tomorrow afternoon that we'll be able to push out with what this means as far as grading, what it could mean for credits, what it could mean for requirements for students. We also have some Tableau tutorials if you want to get better at how to use Tableau. We included the equity work. And then as you see your Ippy Dippy peer review, as far as we know from the state, that is still a requirement for this year. We're just asking that by the end of April, you have your final peer review meetings, so to speak. And that could be through Teams. It could be through a phone call, email, whatever works for you and your peers. And some of you, when we did this in January, you had already started that. And so you were doing your second peer review then. So great, you only have one more. Some of you might have two. We will be checking into that like probably towards the end of the month to see where people are or the beginning of May. But the link to that information is all in that document. We'll share this document out with you this afternoon. I think it has everything that you'll need, but for sure ask us questions if something doesn't make sense. Okay, Lisa? Oh wait, I'm the next thing. We're also going to be sending out a teacher survey to you. That's just a quick little form site checking in on you and any supports you might be needing, any questions that you might have. So that will be in the follow-up email that will be sent to you this afternoon. I do see over in the meeting chat that if you have, if you're on this evaluation cycle, you're right, you don't have to do the peer review. Just like before, you still have to complete the IPI-DIPI, which you would see that information out in the in Frontline. But if you are a first or second year teacher, or if you're on evaluation, you do not have to do the peer review.
Thank you, Jill, for all that good information. As you had heard briefly in what Jill was sharing, we did do senior surveys last week. We're going to talk a little bit about that process, because right now what we need to do is we also need to extend that to our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders to get an idea of who has devices and who has access from home. So I'm going to turn it over to Anthony to share more information about that.
Okay, hey guys, and thank you all for coming over. I know some of you were joining late. We had a little bit of a hiccup with technology, so thank you for the quick pivot to this new team meeting. So just to kind of give you an update on where we're at, on March 30th, last Monday, a survey was sent out to the families of all senior students. The purpose of the survey was to identify which seniors have access to technology. So the survey was sent out Monday. The survey closed Wednesday at midnight. So our tier 2 teams took last Thursday and Friday to call all the families that have not responded to the survey. We've done a great job, everybody on that team. Kudos to you. We've gotten in touch with virtually all of our families. There's still a few remaining, but we were able to make contact and effectively find out who's going to need access to technology. So the plan now for this week is this Friday from 10 to 1, we're going to distribute technology to our seniors who've indicated that they need either a laptop or some type of Wi-Fi device. So last week, the focus was seniors. This Friday, seniors are going to be getting their technology. Now we're going to shift this week to reaching out to the families of our 9th through 11th graders. So very similar to the same process as last week. Just this morning, we had a link sent out via Messenger, School Connects, Twitter, Instagram to all of our students, 9th through 11th grade, to take a survey indicating whether or not they have access to technology. Survey closes at Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, tier 2 teams are going to divide names and reach out to families. What we are asking is, just because we're dealing with 3 grade levels as opposed to 1 like last week, anybody who's interested in making phone calls and supporting